I'm going to go to a prettier background. Mhm. All right. What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's been a minute. Good God, it's been a minute. Y'all forgive the background. It'll be prettier another day. But today, I just want to show up and share. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to the morning message. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I know, me neither. I've missed that song. I made that little jingle up all by my lonesome. I love that for us, y'all. Welcome to the morning message. My name. My name. Are you in here? Okay. My name is Allah-mi. I welcome y'all to the party. If y'all don't know or remember, my name is Allah-mi Basheer. I'm an intuitive self mastery coach. I'm a life coach, among other things, that help people figure out their problems and get it together. Okay. I do these morning messages, or I used to do these morning messages pretty consistently, daily, in fact. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just showing up today and we'll make it do what it do from here forth. But I do want to welcome y'all to the morning message. And this is our opportunity to receive divine guidance, wisdom from the Most High as channeled through my little soul. My little soul. Um, God, you guys, there's so much to catch up on. We will not have the time today. But just know that in the 7 months that I've been absent, that I have been real present with the Lord. Okay. And with myself, honestly. I just needed to step away from this platform for a little bit so that I could recalibrate to know what spirit is really trying to use me to do here. And while the intuitive messages have always been at the forefront of this work and these sessions, um, man, I'm a human too. So there's been a lot more layers of spiritual growth and development that's been happening in me behind the scenes that, quite honestly, I needed the time away to just kind of focus on myself to do that work so that I could come back new and improved and better than ever, as they say. So, just welcoming y'all to the live. Of course, I got Victor Quick in the background. Those of you who know, you know. Okay. That's my right hand woman. Okay. Among other things. And we're just so happy to be back with y'all. So, without further ado, of course, if you want to learn more about me, what I do, and how we be doing it, go to begreateveryday.com. Appreciate y'all liking the video already. If you have not had a chance, go ahead and do that thumbs up because that allows people to know that there's something worth listening to up in here and that it might be for them too. So, let's get into it, shall we? Man, man, you guys, so much is going on. And it is great stuff, really great stuff. It's really, really great stuff, but it's a lot. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, part of me feels a little bit guilty to be talking about all the great things that are on the docket in my life and on the forecast of my life while literally Babylon is falling. And life as we know it is shape shifting really fast and in real time. And some of us feel real uncomfortable with it. Okay. Real uncomfortable with it. Um, when life starts moving in ways that we can't control, discomfort is the first reaction, right? It's like, wait, hold on. What's happening? Okay. And there's so much of that we can't answer. We don't know what's next. We don't know what's going to be the byproduct of all the shifts that are happening in our ecosystem and in our world right now. We literally just don't know. However, it's like if you know, you know. If you know that things have to dismantle in order to be rebuilt again, then you're looking at the dismantling process as not just necessary, but with excitement. Like all this shit needs to change and change fast. And unfortunately, it takes things to be destroyed before they can be made new. And so I don't know what's going on in your world and how you're processing all the things that are happening locally, globally, internationally. But I will say, if you can lock in on the fact that this is growth in real time, that we are in real time watching change and transformation happen on such broad levels that we never thought we would probably see in our lifetime. This shit is happening, and it is happening right before our eyes, where we see systems that we have trusted and believed in and utilized, from healthcare to politics to medicine to our food system to the world of work. Everything is changing and rapidly. And that is intimidating. Shit, it can feel scary. It activates that fight or flight. So either makes you want to do something about it, or it may make you feel stuck and stagnant and like you have no control, like you're helpless and powerless. And so I guess today's morning message, as we're kind of getting into things, today's morning message is really about the power we do have in the midst of change. The power we do have. Everybody's talking about what we can't control, but let's talk about the power we do have. And I'm going to break that down. I got a few decks that I pulled before I even jumped on the live. These felt resonant. I haven't actually worked with any of these decks. Well, I worked with that one, but I haven't worked with these two in a minute. So it is right in alignment to jump back into the morning message with some of the decks that we used to use before. I love that for us. Hey, SS is here. Yay. Tell a friend. And what's up, Miss TLD? Miss TLD? Welcome to the party. Let's get this going. Let me start with this also. Even though I haven't been live on this platform in the last 7 months, one, you can catch a lot of the replay, all the replays for those of you who are new here or maybe caught me at the tail end of that production. If you don't already know, we have probably 150 videos that are sharing daily morning messages. So they're timeless messages. You can go back and kind of use it as a slot machine to scroll and then stop and listen to that message, knowing that's the one that you need to hear. But today, yeah, we're going to get into it. And with the grace of God, I'm so grateful to be able to be here to share this message. So let me start with a mild prayer, and then we'll get into the actual fruit of the message. So, let me just give thanks to the Most High. Let's see if I can not get emotional, because when I am praying, this is not performative or just for y'all. I have an actual relationship with Spirit that we be working through and working with and talking about. So today, I want to just give thanks to the Most High for just the mind to want to show up. Just the mind to want to show up. Y'all have no idea what a challenge that's been for me. As I mentioned, what I've personally been going through within of myself, it's hard for me to show up while I'm in the midst of sadness or in the midst of uncertainty or insecurity or anything that has to do with just me and my emotional well-being. It's like I like to deal with myself in private and then show up in public. And then there's the moments, and some of you all may have caught those moments, where I show up in public and Spirit starts bringing forth things that I'm dealing with in private. And today is probably no different. So I'm giving thanks, I'm giving praise, giving due respect to the Most High for bringing me into this space, bringing you all into this space as well. I don't know what you have going on in your life and in your world, but I can guarantee you have other things you could be doing, and you chose to show up here and now, and not for me, but for yourself, because this wisdom is for all of us. Me too. If you don't know, I channel these intuitive messages. I don't know what I'm saying until I say it, and I'm hearing it in real time with you, and it's always about me and shit that I'm going through as well. So let us all just give thanks in this moment for the benefit and the knowing that when God speaks, that those words matter. Those words matter a lot. So let me get into it. As we're talking about today's topic, we're talking about maintaining control in a powerless situation. Okay. Maintaining control in a powerless situation. And some might argue, well, I don't feel powerless. I know I can do something. If I don't like how things are going on in America, I can move out of the country, or I can move to a different city or a state, or, I can choose who I spend my time with or the topics I talk about. And you're right. Okay. That's the kind of power I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't recognize that you have choice in change, this bud's for you, as they say. So let me pull some cards first so we can get deeper in, and say hello in the chat if you haven't had a chance already. Like these videos. I appreciate y'all when y'all like the videos, because it really does let other people know that, hey, this might be some quality content for me to tap into. If you haven't already shared, please feel free to share as well. And last but not least, and above all, make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when we back out here in these streets. So the first deck I'm working with is called the Moonology deck. And actually, both of these decks are Moonology decks. And they talk about different aspects of the moon and the energy and the frequency that we get from the moon. Okay. So let me pull from this first deck. These are beautiful cards too. They're my faves. Thank you for liking the video. Hi, Keisha. Oh, I'm so glad you just realized I'm back, girl. We back. How you doing, Keisha? Good to see you. I think I mentioned this already. Those of you who don't know, I'm an intuitive life coach. So yes, I'm intuitive. I channel these messages, but it's not just for message sake. So I like to say that what makes me uniquely different from most intuitives is that most intuitives are going to just give you a message and let you figure it out. Hi, Ashley. They're going to give you a message and just have you figure it out. Have you figure out how it resonates, how you figure out how it makes sense or not in your life. Like, you got to do the math and the calculus to make it make sense and integrate it into your life in a way that actually creates impact and change. Not just like fun facts, like, oh, you're going to get a job in 6 months. And I don't do predictive readings, but sometimes they come through like that. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get a job in 6 months. That's great. But they're not talking to you about what you need to do to prepare to get that job and keep that job, and what you need to focus your attention on now in the meantime, before you get that job, and all the things in between that really do set you on a course to alignment. So for good or bad or ugly, you're going to get a good word today and some strategy on what to do with that word in your life. Okay. Yes, I still give readings. They're called clarity calls. They are now reduced to 30 minutes because, just like I just said, I stopped enjoying reading people for just reading's sake. I like to read for people who want to take the information and actually integrate it into their life and do something positive and transformative with it. I've never enjoyed really doing the readings. Well, can you see what's in the future for me and my boyfriend? Those are relevant questions and important readings to be done. It's just not for me. I'm here to actually create change, help people who want to change, create it. Okay. So if that's you, you should probably stick around, tap in a little harder. So let's get into it. How to maintain control in a powerless situation. Now, it's important that we take this is a broad stroke topic, right? Because there's so many situations that we might feel powerless in. I've been doing, over the last several years, really, several months and years, I've been doing a lot of shadow work, a lot of inner child work. And a lot of that inner child work has really taken me face to face with the reality that as a child, I felt powerless a lot. I felt helpless a lot. Like, I couldn't control the things that were going on around me and that related to me. And I felt helpless, as most children do. Children are defenseless and helpless. They're at the whim of whoever their caretaker is. And so as I've been doing my own personal work and really reflecting on the moments of powerlessness and helplessness that I felt as a kid, where I couldn't create change in ways that I wanted to, man, it really did plant a seed inside of me that, bitch, you're going to try to control everything in your life because you felt so out of control as a kid. And some of y'all might resonate with that. If you feel out of control as a kid, if you don't feel like you have enough control over what happens to you or what impacts you, guarantee you grew up to become a control freak as an adult. And it's just the byproduct of what happens. Okay. It's just the byproduct of what happens. So that's an experience that is most common and relatable to most people. We remember being kids and not having choice or free will. But let's fast forward to being an adult and being in a situation, whether it's a relationship, right? It could be a conversation where you feel helpless or powerless. Um, it could be any number of contexts that involve you and another person, or you in a situation or circumstance that you just don't have the answers to, or don't have the influence that you feel like you need in order to create change, to change the outcome, change the dynamic. So there's all kind of moments where we may feel this level of helplessness and powerlessness, and there's no greater opportunity to feel that when you start thinking about global things, things like war and disease and all the big things that are happening in real time that are outside of our dominion. And I say disease, we forget COVID is a disease. COVID wasn't that long ago, and some people are still struggling with it. And, all the experts keep trying to forewarn us to get ready for some other bullshit, some other epidemic, pandemic that will ensue. And it's like, well, how do you feel like you've got control when you're at the helm of a political system that has their own agenda, and a healthcare system that has their own agenda, and everybody's got their own agenda. So how do I feel like I can create change in the midst of all this evil and all of this lack and all of this craziness? There's so many circumstances that are happening outside of us that literally have everything to do with us, and we have no power and control over it. But today is the day that you start to wake up to that differently. And I hate to say it, but just like me, I say that tongue in cheek, I hate to say it, I'm happy to say it, that just like me, you too can be in a situation or looking at life circumstance or global issues or even your childhood, and still be able to find points of control in it. Particularly when you stop looking to control your outside experience and you take that focus inside to really master how you are thinking and feeling and engaging the things that you feel powerless and helpless around. I feel a need to really talk about like what's happening in the broader sense of the world. I know people forget that we're at war right now just because you don't have the inconvenience of bombs and craziness happening outside your door front right now, but we really are at war. Okay. We really are in an economic recession where people are trying to figure out how to put food on the table in the midst of high prices of everything. Okay. More things we can't control. We really are in a place of having to rethink how we get along with our neighbor, because if shit hits the fan, those are the first people that you're going to need to be best friends with. And so there's just so many dynamics for us to consider right now that can be stressful, overwhelming, burdensome, that can stoke fear and doubt and insecurity. All this shit that we can't control outside of us that's invoking all of these feelings. Yes, you do have control over those things. You do. And the control starts inside with your mindset. It starts with how you master how you respond to all of those things. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you all you got to do is not think about it. That's not the answer either. Is to try to bury your head in the sand and act like shit is not really going down the way you see it going down is not real either. Some of us have real life problems in real time that we're like, oh my God, how the fuck? And what am I going to do? And I feel completely like helpless in this. What am I going to do? Like that panic and that fear, that shit is real. You can't just ignore it. And neither am I asking to you, suggesting that you do. So today, I feel like Spirit is going to guide us through some strategies to help you regain control when you feel like you don't have any. Okay. So the first card that I pulled out, it says face your fears. Okay. So we're talking about regaining control when we feel helpless. That's a broad stroke topic. I understand. I'm channeling, so I'm just letting spirit do what spirit do, trusting that everything that's being said is what everybody needs to hear in the moment. Okay. But it is true. If you're trying to regain a locus of control and power in circumstances that you feel like you have none, facing your fears is a good first step. It's a great first step. Because quite honestly, so often when we are afraid or intimidated by a circumstance, or we're just feeling like, you know, um, we feel threatened by situations, circumstances, people, right? Conversations. When we feel threatened, man, fear is the natural next reaction. We naturally default to fear. If I feel uncertainty, if I feel threatened, if I feel unsure, we default to fear. And not only do we default there and then we stop. We stop at the fear. We stop at it. So, for instance, I know there's several people that want to move internationally, several folks that live in the States that want to live somewhere else. And the reason why they don't do it is because they're afraid. They stop at the fear. Okay. And to keep it in the context of the challenges that we're having globally, it's like, we're at war. Oh my God, inflation. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And we stop at that. We go to some worst case scenarios in our head, and then we stop at it. Oh my God, I could be homeless, or I could be hungry because there's not enough food, or I could be displaced because there's actually military turmoil in my land now. It's like we go to the possibility of what the fear can bring, but we stop there. We don't actually face the fear. Facing the fear in turmoil as we're living in right now looks like, for example, if we're talking about global issues, it's not just talking about what could happen. It's like what could happen and what you could do to support yourself. It's like what could happen and that's negative, and what could happen that's positive. When we talk about facing fears, most of us just stop at what makes us feel uncomfortable. We just stop there. We don't actually face the fear. What is the actual fear? Well, if we're at war, the fear could be death. I might get hurt or injured or harmed permanently. Or the fear could be that, life as we know it changes dramatically. It's no longer safe to walk around in the free world. And, any number of things. I don't want to create scenarios because people start locking in on the scenario like, oh my God. I just want to talk about how we regain control when we feel powerless, and facing your fears is often a good first step, because a lot of the fears that we have are actually imagined. They're actually not actual real fears, like legitimate fears. I'm sitting here fearing for my life, and I'm actually sitting here on a bed safely, comfortable, protected, and sound. But the fear has me feeling like I'm about to die at any second. Okay. So when you actually face your fear and what is the weight or the burden that hides behind those fears, it's like when you can give that fear language more specifically, you'll find oftentimes the things that you're afraid of, they're not figments of your imagination only. They're inspired by maybe something that you've seen, or somebody else going through something similar, and now you're afraid it's going to happen to you. When we start breaking it down, it's like it's not a legitimate fear. It is something that we make up in our mind, or something we've attached to a previous experience. It's not an imminent fear, meaning your life is not in danger right now. No one has a firearm to your head, or hopefully, right? Now, everybody's safe right now. That's the assumption. Everybody's safe, but the fears that we have of our own demise, or the fears that we have of our inability to be successful, or the fears that we have that somebody else is going to do something that we don't like in our life, like all of those fears are not always legitimate. So this card says face your fears, and I would say question them. Where does your fear come from? To identify it wholly and completely. Is it an actual, real, imminent fear that you see right now? Or is this just something that your mind is entertaining as possibility that you are owning as truth? Okay. Is your fear something that you are owning as truth that really is just a possibility? Okay. Question your fears. If you're trying to regain power and control in a situation that feels helpless, you got to first make sure that the situation is helpless. And a lot of times we just default to, oh, just because we haven't really examined where our fears are coming from. Where are we sourcing this information that's driving our fears? And we just collapse. We succumb to it without questioning it, without really examining the source, without really coming to understand why we're defaulting to fear. Because newsflash, that's not the only option when you feel helpless and out of control. Fear is not the only option. It's not. Let's have a pop quiz. What could be an alternative to fear when we feel powerless and out of control? I'll wait. What's the alternative? Fear is not the only answer, even to the global things that are happening. I'm assuming you don't drive a military fighter plane to be able to jump in and help out if some shit starts going down. So it's not your fear to help. Okay, you may not be able to help a lot or in significant ways that shift the needle, but what else could you do? What would be the opposite of fear? Trust, faith, just a couple options. And I'll add to it knowing. I'm going to bypass the word belief and I'm going to go to knowing. When you feel afraid, uncertain, helpless, powerless, and out of control, fear is not the only option on the table. If you want to choose, I see Vic in the chat giving other options: resolve, acceptance, surrender, allowing. All of these, non resistance, all of these are options on the table if you want it. And all of those options open up a new pathway of control of things that you can control, which is your mind, your thoughts, your attention, where you put your energy. And I'll add to it again, your knowing. We're bypassing the word belief. If you haven't spent a lot of time in this room, you'll hear me bypass the word belief a lot. Because if you say you are a believer, that tells me, one, that you have some kind of relationship that you're trying to cultivate with source, but it doesn't tell me that you have one. Okay. It tells me that you have something you're trying to cultivate, and that's not a bad idea. But when we start talking about knowing, you know that there's a higher power, you know that there's a bigger master plan, you know that you're a part of a significant and important part of that plan. When you say you know higher spirit, you know, quote, God, that's a different playing field that you're now dealing with in this realm. Now, the things of this realm don't have the same kind of leverage and impact because you are able to transcend what's happening in this 3D world and go higher in your perspective to see that source knows what's happening and knows who's in control and who's not, knows what to do next, knows what I need. There's a knowing that can be defaulted to that overrides this fear that gives a whole different lived experience. What does it feel like to go from fear to trust? To go from being deathly afraid of what could happen and all the worst case scenarios because you're just sitting in the fear, you're not actually facing it or questioning it. You're just going down the rabbit hole of doubt and lack of safety, lack of provision. You're just down the fucking rabbit hole. But what if you don't go down that rabbit hole and you make a right at trust and faith and knowing and go down that rabbit hole? And what do you think those feelings feel like? I don't know about for with you, but and we were talking about this yesterday. One of my mantras is that everything happens for a good reason. The word good has to be there. It's not just everything happens for a reason. Yes, that's true. But when you insert the word good, that's the game changer. That's the game changer that will actually open up the door to acceptance. It's like it may not be what I want. It ain't how I like it. It was not what I would choose or what I would prefer. But I have to trust in the knowing that this is happening by design with perfection. This is happening on purpose. This is a good reason experience for me, even if I can't identify the goodness in the reason yet. But that becomes the goal. Over time, not just to, I need to make sense of it, but to trust that it will make sense in time. It's not waking up every day. Does this shit make sense yet? Then why this fuck shit had to happen? Oh, nope. Okay, let me go back to sleep. It's not that. It's not that. It's knowing that in time, things will make more sense. In time, you'll come to know why it had to go down, just like how it had to go down for you. In time. Okay. So you got options. Fear is not the only one, but you can start there. And quite honestly, should start there because that's where most of us are. We default to the fear. So start questioning them, examining them, asking yourself what else is also true. Yes, I'm afraid. Yes, this isn't what I prefer. Yes, this is crazy. What else is also true? And that whatever comes next is going to be depending on whatever your scenario is. If right now you're afraid because you don't have your mortgage or your rent money and you're trying to get it figured out and you're down the rabbit hole of, oh my God, all these bad things are going to happen. I'm going to be homeless. I'm not going to have nowhere to live. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have this or that, or I'm going to have to move in with so-and-so or ask such and such for money. It's like you down all of the rabbit holes. Okay. And trust me, I'm a human person too. And trust me, I'm in the same scenario, always like, okay, God, what are we going to do here? I don't know how this is going to work out. But if I let fear be my default, I won't be able to feel for or understand or see the options that are being worked out for me because I'm just over here hovering in the corner crying. I can't see the pathways that are actually here and available to me because I'm stuck in the fear. But if I move over to trust, now my eyes are wide open because if I trust that this is happening for a good reason, then this might be because, God about to give me a house or about to move me to a nicer neighborhood or a cheaper unit or whatever the better positive outcome could be. You're not focused on that if you're down the fear rabbit hole. But if you go up and make a right and go back toward trust and faith, then all of a sudden now you got options. And not just options, you got opportunity. Because it's like, okay, if God is moving me away from this, I have to, okay, because that good reason, the good reason for it has to be because there is something better. There's a good reason. There's something better on the horizon. And even as we look at these global, big international horizon, you might be thinking, well, I don't have no power and control over that. I can't create no influence in that, not by myself. As a community, as a nation, all the things we can rally together and do all the things, but me by myself, I don't have nothing that I can do about this. Whew. And that is where you're wrong. That is where you're wrong. Because again, you're looking at this scenario from a fear-based perspective. That's where the dead end happens. Well, can't do nothing about it. Not by myself. But then when you go toward faith and trust and knowing, it's like, okay, what I can do towards this improvement of this global thing I feel like I have no control over is to continue to stay steadfast in my faith that this is happening for a good reason. And trust, I get it. I really do get it. That's so fucking hard to get to when you're afraid. It's so hard to get to when you're afraid. But that's why it's important to really sit in the fear and identify the fear and talk to the fear and acknowledge the fear and then renegotiate your relationship with it and say that I don't have to default to fear here. It's okay that I feel fear and I can examine and question those fears, but I don't have to default to it. Because when I default to it, I feel like I'm powerless. But if I don't default to it, and even if I can't explain what the good reason is, I just hold space for there to be a good reason for something I can't make sense of now. That right there, even before you jump to, yes, this is a good reason, even if you just say, there's a reason for this, you can start with that. There's a reason for this. Even before you acknowledge it to be a good reason, that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, especially when you start talking about big tragedies. You know, you hear people like, why do good people die? Why are babies harmed? And why do bad things happen to good people and helpless people? There's no good reason for a child to die. That might be debatable, depending on who you ask, depending on the byproducts, the domino effect of said death. Some of our greatest legislation has come on the back ends of great tragedies that have happened to children. Some of our social norms that are tried and true have come on the back end of global tragedies. So inherently, everything is neutral until we assign a good or a bad to it. So even if you can't go to good reason for bad things, go to neutral. Go to neutral. That there's a reason for this, even if I don't understand. You just got fired recently. You trying to figure it out. It's them throwing you into a scramble to try to figure out how to get your bills paid and what you're going to do next and trying to figure out all the things. It's hard to see a good reason in that, especially when you're stressed the fuck out and in survival mode immediately. It's hard to find a good reason for when something that you feel like is of value to you that you need is taken away, whether it's an opportunity or a loved one, a physical object like a house or a relationship by divorce. It's like it's hard to make sense of why this had to happen in a way that is going to why this had to happen and how is it going to benefit me. We can't get to that shit right away, so just go neutral. Just hold space, or as I say, be trustful. Have the capacity to trust that there's a good reason attached to it. Okay, so lots to chit chat about with that. Face your fears. What is the language you're telling yourself about the thing that you feel afraid of? What are you telling yourself about it? What are you telling yourself about your potential in it? Your safety, your provision? What are you telling yourself? So much of that sense of powerlessness is not